I experienced some truly incredible things at that time. Carl Gustav Jung's amazing near-death experience had a profound effect on me, but I don't think I can fully credit God with it. I had a heart attack not long after witnessing someone with a broken leg when I was just a few years old. I experienced weird visions as I vacillated between life and death. I became aware that my life might be ending shortly as a result of those visions. I remembered the world-famous psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung. This was in the winter of 1944. It wasn't the end for Jung, though. The doctors managed to bring him back to life. Later, he shared what he had experienced during his clinical death and the thoughts these visions had stirred within him. It's impossible to say with certainty whether what I saw were dreams or something else entirely, but whatever they were, they felt incredibly real. It seemed to me as if I had risen from my body and found myself floating in space. I saw the earth again, glowing with a beautiful blue light. Jung described a similar vision. He was shocked by its beauty. He looked down at the continents and the oceans from above, fascinated by their shape and color. His feet no longer touched the ground. Psychiatrists later estimated how far one would have to travel from Earth to see such a view. They calculated that Jung in his vision had risen to a distance of approximately 100 kilometers from the Earth's surface. As he admired the globe, he found himself drifting further and further away from it. Eventually, he turned away and saw a large block of stone flying through space. It passed by him just as he had been drifting, effortlessly moving through the void. Suddenly, this vision was interrupted. He found himself in an ancient temple, carved into a rock. Jung knew instinctively that if he entered this temple, he would discover everything about his life, past, present, and future. All secrets would be revealed to him. He stood on the threshold of ultimate understanding, but he didn't go inside. Instead, a figure appeared, his doctor, emerging from the steps of the temple. The doctor was surrounded by a golden glow, and strangely, he was on the same level as Jung. Their communication was telepathic. Through thoughts alone, Jung learned that the doctor had been sent to deliver a message. Jung had no right to leave the world just yet. The doctor heard this and vanished. Jung was prohibited from climbing the steps of the temple. He was back in a hospital bed when he woke up a few moments later. He heard something amazing from the nurse who had been tending to him. She had noticed a bright light surrounding him while he was unconscious. She had previously seen similar phenomena when providing care for the terminally ill. Jung was furious with the doctor who brought him back. To him, the old world now felt like a prison. Alongside his anger, Jung also felt deeply uneasy. He believed that if, in his vision, the doctor had come out of the temple, a place where all the knowledge of the universe resides, it meant his days were numbered. Here's a quote from Jung's own writings. The life of the mind. I tried my best to talk to the doctor about it, but he couldn't understand me at all. I should have warned him more carefully. I was absolutely convinced that his life was in danger. It turned out that Jung was right. That doctor, who had been so significant in Jung's journey, went to bed on April 4th, 1944, and never got up again. He had a sudden fever and soon died of blood poisoning. That experience of clinical death was profoundly meaningful for Jung, not only personally, but professionally. It gave him a whole new way of understanding psychological problems. After recovering from his illness, Jung entered a period of deeply creative work. He wrote many foundational articles. His knowledge and perspective expanded. He stopped trying to prove his ideas with rigid arguments. Instead, he surrendered to the flow of thought. Answers came to him, dressed in words, one after the other. Jung started to accept himself and the world around him as they were. He had sensed that something was amiss in his contact with the outside world at the start of his illness, and he understood that he was partially to blame. He discovered a deeper truth as a result of that realization. Trusting the subconscious and following providence was the wisest course of action. This awakening marked a significant shift in Jung's understanding of psychology and his work with patients. He began exploring how to connect the spiritual and physical aspects of personality. He studied symbols that he believed came to us from another world. While classical psychology and psychoanalysis avoided the idea of an immortal soul, Jung became convinced that life after death was real, something parapsychologists had been exploring all along. For most people, knowing that the soul continues after death brings comfort and inner peace. Jung had never written about life after death before these events. He hadn't been able to confirm his thoughts, but after his experience, he felt compelled to speak on the topic. "Even if it turns out I am wrong," he said, "I must say it, because if I don't, I'll lose something very important." Jung didn't claim to have proof of life after death, but he saw signs, indications. For instance, after the death of a close friend, Jung saw him standing in his room. He felt tempted to follow him. Believing it was a product of imagination, he nonetheless followed this vision. It led him across the street, into a house, and to a library he had never visited before. In the vision, his friend climbed a chair and pulled down the second of 5 red books. The next day, Jung went to that house. He asked the widow if he could see the library. Standing on a chair, he found 5 red-bound books, works of Émile Zola. He took the second one and read the inscription. Everything matched what he had seen in the vision. Jung recorded similar experiences as evidence of the soul's existence. In another instance, after his wife's cousin died, Jung dreamed of a female figure rising from a pit under his wife's bed. He woke at 3 a.m., the exact time of the cousin's death. Such dreams puzzled Jung. He didn't claim to know what they meant, but he felt they pointed to a reality beyond ours. In yet another dream, he saw his deceased sister walking hand in hand with a woman he recognized but could not name. Soon after, he learned that an acquaintance had died. She was the woman from the dream. Jung also dreamed of seeing a buddy who had passed away. The friend and a stranger were discussing psychology while they sat in a garden. Their attention was so focused that Jung's friend waved him off. That friend never pursued his lifelong desire of studying psychology. Jung interpreted this as suggesting that souls might carry on pursuing their actual wants in a different reality. Even after his wife's death, Jung had dreams of her continuing work she hadn't completed in life. He believed her soul was still active. This helped him come to terms with her loss. He said that if the soul exists, it belongs to another reality. It is only given to us briefly in this life. After death, it returns to its original home. We cannot know with certainty whether something in us continues beyond death, but we can sense that a part of our soul may go on, perhaps without us even realizing it. Jung believed the subconscious tries to warn us of future events. People often receive these messages but ignore them. Jung, however, paid close attention. One day, while dozing on a train, he saw a man drowning. After waking, he discovered that his grandson had nearly drowned that day. Thankfully, the boy's brother saved him in time. For centuries, humanity has asked, "Why am I here? What happens next?" We still don't have all the answers, but Jung's experiences offer us working hypotheses. He once dreamed of a fleet of UFOs. One of them had a projector showing a film in which Jung was the main character. In another dream, he saw a meditating yogi in a Buddhist temple. From this, Jung believed our lives might be projections, reflections of thoughts, or a higher being's ideas. 2 years before his death, Jung gave an interview. He was asked whether he believed in God and whether death was the end of everything. His response was striking. "I don't believe, I know. And if I know something, I don't need to believe. I can say with certainty that death is not the end, because there are mental phenomena that are not limited by space or time." He said dreams, visions, and similar experiences show that our psyche doesn't follow physical laws. We don't have concrete proof that our spiritual essence lasts forever, but there is a possibility that part of us does continue. Of course, near-death experiences aren't scientific proof of the soul, but there's no denying that for many, they affirm the existence of something greater. Clinical death was a turning point for Jung. He argued that belief in God should come not from doctrine, but from personal experience and inner feeling. Perhaps Jung's story can inspire us to reflect on our own lives and search for our own answers to the eternal questions. Dear friends, have you ever searched for answers like these? What do you believe happens after death? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day.